Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And if you are a subscriber to my channel, you know I released what I call the most important video yesterday. I brought on someone who is bringing cost segregation and bonus depreciation, Anna, to single family homes.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! So what I thought I would do with you is I have a guess, just a sneaky suspicion that bonus depreciation and cost segregation were probably a big part of your 2020 tax return and probably will once again in 2021. Is that a fair guess or assumption?
Absolutely fair. It is my favorite part of the current tax code. And allowed me as a multifamily investor not to pay IRS federal taxes for the last 2 years, despite making more money than I ever have.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
It isn't.
That doesn't suck.
And before everybody says you're terrible, you don't pay taxes like Donald Trump or whoever else, right?
Yeah.
I pay literally across our properties 6 figures in real estate property taxes, and I pay taxes to Pennsylvania. And the government incentivizes me and wants me not to pay taxes so that I'll keep investing in good housing for people instead. So I take every advantage of the programs that they offer me. Bonus depreciation is an amazing thing.
Yeah. So we learned yesterday, again, what we talked about yesterday on the channel was, historically speaking, cost segregation, right, was for the big boys, right? Because it's an engineering study. It takes a lot of work, right? Walgreens did it. Hospitals have done it. Now, usually the number used to be, I heard 100 million, right? If you're buying 100 million thing, do a cost segregation, because they could be 20 or 30 grand, right? Whatever they are. But now there are companies, and again, I brought one on yesterday. I'm still digging into for my audience, but they're basically, hey, if you're buying something over 200 grand, a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 engineering study might give you some bonus depreciation, or actually cost segregation could give you bonus depreciation, because this is 5 years, this is 7 years, this is 15. Through the end of next year, you can take all of that year one. It's pretty amazing.
It is. And I'll say a few things just to kind of challenge, I didn't listen to the show.
No,
this isn't, pointed at anybody in particular, but there's ways to do the cost segregation even cheaper than that, right?
Oh,
so
wow, cool.
We've kind of seen in the multifamily space, if it's $1 million purchase or more, it's kind of justified by the cost segregation study of about $3,000 to $5,000 on most larger apartment buildings, right?
Okay. Yep.
So the reason they've set kind of that $1 million purchase price is the fact that it might cost you $3,000 to save, a little bit, right? But in reality, I have done cost seg studies on properties that have been below $1 million as well. Mm-hmm. And if they're a small property, like a single family home, I know some investors who have bought like a portfolio of single family homes. They're paying $1,500 to $1,800 per cost seg study on a single family home, which is not bad, right? But to make it even nicer, on small properties that you own by yourself or maybe with a partner. And when I say small, $1 million property, 10 units, right? My accountant does the cost seg for me. I don't hire the engineering firm, and I pay him a couple $100 to do it, because it's really easy when you've only got, 10 units, 10 HVACs, 10 cabinets, 10 floors. Yeah. When it's a 400 unit building and each of the units look different, and there's 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms,
different ages, and
you need engineering, you need them to come in and do this fancy study that they say is IRS defensible, but your accountant can do a basic cost seg for you, really inexpensive on your basic tax return on single family houses. So look into that as well.
Awesome. A couple of things I want to make sure. So first off, let's assume Anna's still employed. You're still at AIG. Mm-hmm. If that was the case, you could still technically use these things, but given your income levels, you could only write it off against your passive income, and whatever was left over would be a carry over or carry forward. Is that true?
It is, with some small exceptions. One thing is that the tax rules on whether you can actually use the bonus depreciation are layered. And so there's multiple tests that you have to pass to say, can you actually use the depreciation that you generate? So essentially, just to kind of back up for anybody that maybe didn't hear the thing yesterday, is when you own rental property, even though it should be going up in value every year, the government allows you to claim a tax write-off called depreciation for every year, assuming that the property is going down to be worth nothing, let's say in 27 and a half years for an average single family home.
Correct.
So you buy a $275,000 house. and you can depreciate it over 27 and a half years, you get a $10,000 paper loss called depreciation every single year on your tax return, right?
Right.
Just for easy numbers.
Yeah.
So bonus depreciation, basically what's in the current, what they call the Trump tax code plan, allows you to take stuff that would normally take you much longer periods of time to depreciate. And it lets you take all the components of the building, like the HVAC, the cabinets, the floors, and take a bigger accelerated, quick one-time depreciation instead of waiting for many, many years to take it. So that $10,000 depreciation on that single family house might be able to be $30,000 year one. And then you're left with, less the rest of the time.
Of course.
So that $30,000 for the IRS to let you take the loss says, we have a test. Number one is how much money do you make? Is it active or is it passive? And then how much of that can you actually use to offset your income, right? So when you, generally speaking, if you own a rental property, you can use the depreciation against that rental property up until the point that you're at a zero balance. And then once you're at zero, the depreciation rolls forward and you can use it the next year and the next year. What happens with a lot of people where they make a mistake, Michael, is they think, I have one rental property, but I'm going to invest in some syndications, some passive stuff. I'm going to get all this bonus depreciation. They think that it'll offset their W-2 income, but it can only offset their other passive income, so their own rental properties. So having bonus depreciation is great, but you've got to make sure that you can actually use it. And if you can't, it's still beautiful because it rolls over. So you can use it the next year and the next year and the next year. But the strategy needs to be, I need to own more of my properties, because the more properties I own, all that income that I make on those properties can be offset and negated by the depreciation that they generate.
Yeah, that was really where I wanted to get to, because again, I as a high W-2 employee and someone who showed losses because of depreciation for decades, when I left my job, right, when my W-2 went bye-bye, I was carrying forward over $1 million in losses, right, total cumulative across the portfolio. Now that I'm a real estate professional, right, that's all I do. It just, everything comes off.
Exactly. And that's what's beautiful. And it's beautiful too, if you are married to someone that has a W-2 and you are the full-time real estate professional,
bingo,
and you file together one return, all your income is looked at collectively and together. So everything that you make in depreciation, with a few exceptions, there's an income test and whatever, can be used to offset just about all of your income. And, the last couple of years, I've had $600,000 to $800,000 a year in bonus depreciation that's wiped off as a full-time real estate professional, wiped off all of my income. So, I look like on paper, boy, I'm losing a whole lot of money, but it's all paper losses. So it's amazing to be able to have that incentive to go buy more. Because what does it make me want to do? Let's go buy more housing. Let's go provide more housing, because I not only am making an income and making a difference in the community, but the government's incentivizing me to keep doing it.
Yeah, this is something that I did not do the last couple of years, because I mainly do residential, but that was a mistake. I should have been looking at using some of this, because unlike you, where you went to zero, I actually paid taxes the last couple of years. Not, they were more than I'd wanted to pay, but I paid what I paid what I had to pay.
Right.
This is something I'm definitely going to use, and I will probably close 1 or 2 properties between now and the end of the year, because I have a number that I got to get to, and I am a real estate professional.
Yes.
So,
and that's the beauty of it. It really helps with planning. And although it's hard to hit exactly, I'll give you another example where usually you can't use depreciation to offset capital gains. When you're a full-time real estate professional, all of it's the same to the IRS, right? So I sold a substantial number of units in the last year. I think 40 units that I sold. So I had a very large capital gain. And the capital gain tax brackets are such that up to 400,000, it's 15% gain for this year. Once you're at 400,000, it's 20%. So I needed to try to keep my gain to 15%, because not only would it change my capital gain rate, but it would change my income tax level rate as well if I didn't keep it below 400,000. So I was able to strategically go, okay, I think I'm going to owe this much in tax. Here's going to be my adjusted gross income. I want to make sure I get enough depreciation to knock myself down below the 400,000 total gain with all the losses to keep my tax bracket and my gain bracket low. I knew I was going to be about 40,000 short. So what did I do? I went out and bought a vehicle for my business that was just over 40,000.
There you go.
That's 100% bonus depreciation, that just like a house, right? And reduce my income to exactly where I needed it to be, so that the wash with all of my bonus depreciation losses netted me a zero tax return. And that's exactly the planning was beautiful, because the math is so easy if you're a full-time real estate professional. That's a big if, but it's another reason for you guys to go out and buy more and more property, spend about 20 hours a week managing your properties, and be able to suddenly take advantage of all these tax deductions, significantly reduce your tax that you pay, which puts more money in your pocket to go out and buy more property.
Yeah. And this is cost segregation, bonus depreciation is one of the reasons you see folks and like Grant Cardone, who makes millions of dollars selling courses and all this, why he's buying $1 billion in properties so he can write that big number off. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me now. So Anna, this is so much fun. Congratulations. I love the planning. Folks, this is, again, something you get to look at when you can call yourself a real estate professional or your significant other if you file joint tax returns. So Anna, how can people follow you?
Great. You can find me here every Wednesday, and you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Anna REI Mom Kelly. And my website is reimom.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.